I am part of a third-generation family construction business. Gen 2, my dad and two of his siblings are current owners. We have about 100 team members, and last year we had revenues of about $23 million. How do we plan strategically to avoid costly mistakes within the family business? And then I guess within that for me would be like, what suggestions do you have for leading up within a family business when that means leading up to family members?
Well, I think that you cover a lot there. It depends what kind of conversation you're wanting to have with them. What I would encourage you to do in any of these is to make sure that you have a goal for that conversation. Often people don't know what they want to say until they're already talking. So I would encourage you to outline on paper what are the goals for the conversations, and don't try to attack it all at once. When you talk about everything, you talk about nothing. All right, so you want to make sure that you line out one issue per conversation. Don't try to pack it in all at once, whatever it is you're trying to talk about. Dave, do you feel that way?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you're how old?
I am 32.
And your dads and brothers run the place? Their dads and his brothers?
Yes, correct.
Three brothers run it. How many of your cousins are in the thing?
I have one cousin, and then my brother is in it as well. So we have 3 members of Gen 3.
Okay. And how old's your dad's bunch? In their 60s?
My dad's in his 50s, but then his siblings are in their 60s.
Yeah, and your dad's late 50s, yeah, okay. All right, so have we discussed succession?
There's been little succession planning and very poor at that.
What do you mean by poor?
For a long time, it was just kind of put off like, oh, we'll take care of it when it comes to it. Well, now one of the siblings, brothers, I guess, is in the next couple of years wanting to bow out. And so there's a bit of a mad rush now to try to figure out some of that succession plan. And then besides that brother leaving, there is no further discussion after that.
Is there... Are those brothers second gen, or are they all 3 first gen?
They are second gen.
So their dad started it.
Correct.
Okay. All right. And you guys are construction.
Correct.
All right. Well, I not planning is a plan. It's a really bad plan, but it is a plan. And too many people, grab their chest, fall back into the grave, and toss the keys out as they're dying.
That's good. I haven't heard that before.
That's their succession plan, right? And they wait till the last second, or they just, y'all figure it out when I'm gone, which is like a curse on the family. So the probability of you all being in business 20 years from today is probably less than 10%. You're probably going to go out of business if they don't deal with this. Because the mess that these 3 goobs are going to leave behind with no planning is going to destroy the place.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
And so how close are you relationally with your dad?
Very close.
Okay. All right.
And I'm curious, what kind of when you say mistakes, what's your main concern? What are you most worried about?
Well, so kind of like Dave meant, like I would love for this to have the opportunity to become a 4th, 5th, 6th generation family business if that allows for it. But like last year on $23 million in revenue, we lost over $700,000. And
so you operationally suck.
This past year, yes. Previous 2 years were some of our best years ever, and then all of it. We have outdated systems and little strategic planning to go along with it, and all that, if you want to call it dysfunction, I guess, kind of just caught us with our pants down last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when the tide goes out, you can tell who was skinny dipping.
Yep.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of layers to fixing this. And I think I would start with your best connective tissue, which is to your dad. And I would take him to breakfast one Saturday morning and say, Dad, I love you and I love this place and I love working here and I'd love to see it be fourth generation, but I don't think we're going to make it. I think it's going to crash because you guys refuse to deal with the details of a handoff. And I don't need you to hand it to me today, but everybody in the next generation and the employees and the customers and the vendors need to know what the flip's going to happen, because all that uncertainty is going to drive away our talent, our connections, and our customers. And it is.
Yeah.
Because the outside world's looking at this going, when these three goobs die, this thing's going to crash, and I don't want to have a building halfway up.
Yeah.
You're losing customers. And you probably, if not now, you will be in 5 years as these guys get a little bit older even. So, Dad, I need some help. And so that's one thing I would do, is just try to use that connective tissue however you can and say, I'm willing to work on it, and I do we need to call everybody together? How do you think we should handle it? But, Dad, not handling it is handling it poorly. And then the other thing I would do, other than that, as a separate part of the discussion, I don't know whether you lead with this, Jefferson, you can coach me on this, is I have found that old crusty guys like me, and I'm the same age as this bunch, okay? And I'm going to say this out loud, I probably shouldn't, but I have found that they're not founders, but they're acting like founders, that honoring the people that are in place as a part of the conversation, extending honor. You guys are amazing. You built a $23 million business, and you built something even beyond yourselves. Y'all are amazing. And we want to honor that by being able to continue it. Giving them honor somehow moves the needle with these people. Does that make sense?
I love that. Yeah, there is a very strong, I think, generational value of continuing the tradition, passing the torch, being able to honor what has been had and to continue and to live up to that. Another thing I'd encourage you to lead with is, because it is your father, all right, here's where you get to say, Dad, I'm going to tell you this because you've taught me to X. So bring in to the lessons and values that he has taught you. You've taught me to say it with my chest. You've taught me to speak up when I need to say things. You've taught me to be transparent and be honest. And this is what I'm making sure that I'm living up to. So a lot of the times when you come at it with what you've been taught, particularly when you have a special of relationship as your dad, that is going to also embolden him to take pride in you as his son of what he is passing on and what he has in front of him.
Now, let's turn left and go negative. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
You do everything you can do, and these guys refuse to do anything. Do you want to be rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic?
No.
Yeah. And you're going to have to, at some point, you're going to have to say that, and you're going to say, I'm going to have to take my skills, and I'm going to open a construction company, or I'm going to open a whatever over here, and I'm going to have to go on my way because I'm not going to ride this thing to the bottom of the ocean.
Right.
That is very emotional and very difficult for you to do.
Mm-hmm.
But you need, and I don't want you to throw that at them ever if you can avoid it. This is not, because they're not going to do this to avoid losing you. They're going to do this because it's the right thing to do. It's the honorable thing to do. It's good for the customers. It's good for the heritage that their dad set in place. That's the reason these men are going to do this. They're not going to do it because the 32-year-old told them to go do it.
Yeah.
So don't throw your thing up. But also, as a man, at some point, you've got to go, these guys aren't going to deal with this. This thing's going to go NASCAR, and the engine's going to go up in the stands. This thing's going to disintegrate, and I don't want to be in the driver's seat. I don't want to be in the passenger seat. You're not in the driver's seat. But, I mean, that's a year from now, 2 years from now, and they still refuse to do anything, and it's getting worse instead of better. That's a decision you're going to have to make at some point, too. So hopefully, though, you can begin a conversation by extending honor and calling back on the values that you were taught. That's I love that point. And you can get these guys to begin to move off center. But they're not going to do it because of you. They might do it because you talk your dad into making them do it. That might work. but they're not going to do it because of you. Not this bunch. No, these are construction guys. They care very little about your feelings.
That's very true.